Guys, it's Chris Williams here with Cyclone Fanatic telling you about one of my favorite companies that I've worked with, and I hire them all the time. Country Landscapes. They're located up in Ames, but they have offices in eastern Iowa as well, over in North Liberty. Got one up in Clear Lake. I've hired Country Landscapes to do all the landscaping in my front yard, but I've also hired them to come over and give me advice on planting trees in my front and backyard. Stuff I don't really know about, but boy, the folks at Country Landscapes are experts in this field. They also have a skilled stone mason division that creates outdoor living and cooking spaces. It's something I need to look into. Check them out. Country Landscapes. You want that dream fire pit in your backyard? That's an idea for this spring. Country Landscapes supporting our March Madness coverage of the Cyclones here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
The world will never be the same once you see it through the eyes of Fairway Frank.
Frank, we'll sell London broils, New York strip steaks, pork chops, pork steaks.
Frank's mama always said, life is like a T-bone steak. When you shop at Fairway, you know exactly what you're gonna get.
At the Carl Auto Group Collision Centers, we make it easy. Our expert Platinum iCard technicians use the latest technology and innovations to repair any make or model of vehicle on the road. Multiple locations in Iowa to get you back on the road faster. Get your free estimate today, in person or online at carlauto.com.
Your dealer for life, it's the Carl way.
What is up, and welcome to pregame here for a little Big 12 championship game. Iowa State and Houston getting ready to go at it at the T-Mobile Center. My name is Chris Williams, and been here in Kansas City for, almost an entire week. I love this arena, and it's a lot more fun when all of you guys come down here and hang out, and we're going to have a completely full house back there. I decided to not do the show from the arena because it gets so loud for these pregame shows. Want to thank all of our great sponsors here. As you just saw some ads from our friends at Carl Auto Group. They are the presenting sponsor of our coverage here with the Cyclones, the men and women team, both this March. Fairway Meat and Grocery, Country Landscapes. I also want to thank our friends at Central States Roofing, who was a new sponsor of ours. They go back all the way to 1968, a family-owned and operated business that is a diehard when it comes to supporting the Cyclones. Keep an eye on them if you're interested in commercial projects within 75-mile radius of Ames, Des Moines, and Fort Dodge. Also, my buddies over at Keen Project Solutions. I love this company. They are Cyclone to the bone. It's a modern engineering and construction firm serving the agriculture, industrial, and commercial markets all over the Midwest. Keen Project Solutions. Think different. ThinkKeen.com. Iowa State and Houston. This is the matchup we all deserve. We've been grinding through this Big 12 season, and we've got the best two teams in the conference, maybe the country. Maybe the Cyclones are one of the top two teams in the country, folks. It might be true. They're freaking looking like it right now here in Kansas City, and they got an opportunity right now to go out and prove it against who I think is the best team in the country, the Houston Cougars. So here's the good news. If you're wanting to win a championship today for the Iowa State Cyclones, if you're a fan of the Cyclones, you're a fanatic back there in Iowa, and you're watching, you got FOMO, here's the good news for you. Houston's banged up. Aren't they due at some point to have a close game with somebody? I mean, they're just killing everybody. I asked Otts about that yesterday. I go, what in the world, Otts? They're just killing everybody who that they step up to because they're a really good freaking team. Shed's the player of the year. They got bodies left and right. Roberts got a little dinged up. I think he's going to come back tonight. But this is a banged-up Houston team where I'm watching Kelvin Sampson's post-game press conference yesterday. He's like, I'm worried about – I don't even know who we're going to play tomorrow, meaning who his team is going to play. So that's the one thing with Iowa State. Iowa State matches up pretty well with them because they are Iowa State, right? You do a lot of the same stuff, Houston and Iowa State. So, like, from that aspect, this isn't like, like the BYU matchup where it's just like they're going to run out there and then shoot. No, like you play against this team every day in practice. That doesn't mean they're not really freaking good, and Houston is. But that's where I think Iowa State has a little bit of an edge today because, believe it or not, a lot of the theme coming into this, if you're an Iowa State fan, is we're banged up. Big 12 season has worn on you a little bit. Listen, guys, Iowa State looks like a fresh basketball team. It looks like they really utilized that time. Maybe I'm thinking positive here. Maybe they're a little more prepared than the Houston Cougars to play 3 games in 3 days. We'll see. We'll see about that. Iowa State obviously will have its work cut out for you because, I think they're the best team in the country. I said that the day I watched them play in January in Ames. The first time in my life as a basketball fan where I was just like, holy crap, like I loved watching that team play defense. Right? It's like normally you don't do that with basketball, but I did with this one. It's like Houston, man, they're just so freaking nasty. So hell yeah. KJ, my main man watching on the X machine right now, says that Hilton South gives the Clones a boost. You're darn right it does. This place has been phenomenal all week. I thought that Thursday's crowd was the best I'd ever seen on a Thursday. I thought the women's crowd was phenomenal earlier in the week. Just a lot of real positive stuff down here. You got to be a real negative Nancy. Feel bad for a woman named Nancy too. How did you get lumped in with that? But you got to be a real negative jerk to find much negative that has happened this week in Kansas City. And hopefully Iowa State tops it off with a championship win tonight. A rubber match versus the number 1 ranked Houston Cougars, where I would anticipate it's 80% at least Iowa State fans here. A lot of Kansas and Kansas State fans like to come to the tournament. I mean, if Iowa State had lost, I was going to come to this game and just watch because I love Big 12 basketball, right? So, a lot of people will be just hanging out, bebopping around T-Mobile. But it's 80% clone to the bone. Joey asking on the YouTube, would losing this game affect our seed line? No. Worst case scenario, Iowa State is a number 2 seed. I think best case scenario, I would say there's like a under 5% chance Iowa State could be a 1 seed still. But I wouldn't hold your breath. Some other stuff may have to happen. But I think that, Iowa State's resume is right there to be a 1 seed if it wins this game. I don't see him making that hop, but we'll see. Matty Van Winkle is producing the program. He's back in the big city of Bondurant. How are you feeling, Matty?
What's up, man?
This one.
Championship mentality, right? You got this far,
your new
man. I'm
Cyclone Fanatic rope hat on.
Let's go. Got the threads. Thanks to our man Mike.
I tell you, this Kansas City is nuts. These people, if Iowa State wins this one, they may they're not going to burn the place down because they love this city too much, but it's going to be it's going to be crazy.
What's wild too is a lot of these people have been there the entire week with the women, and then transition right into the men. I was there with you earlier this week, and it was, man, it felt like a lot of people then, right, on our Wednesday, the party we had down in Power and Light. I mean, it was busy then. It's just crazy seeing these pictures. Like Freund's been posting videos and photos from Power and Light all week, and it's like the people were saying the Thursday crowd was the biggest they'd ever seen, and now it's just obviously filling in more and more. It seemed like the crowd was probably 80%, 90% full. There were some upper deck seats that were available, so I would imagine those will fill in more tonight.
I'll tell you what, I bought some tickets for my wife and kids tonight or today for tonight's game, and the price went up exponentially from last night until this morning.
I went on last night during the game just to kind of look at prices, and you could get kind of like the resale, the upper decks for about $50 was the cheapest, but I would imagine those are probably closer to 100 now, at least.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
So Williams, my question to you, I know you talked about this earlier in the week, like, kind of easing up as you get into the turn. You don't want to get totally beat up by this Houston team. Like you said, it took a couple weeks for them to recover the last time you played. I would imagine that both teams are probably going in with that mindset because Houston probably, face that too. I mean, Iowa State and Houston are the 1-2 teams in Ken Palm in defense. Iowa State has been proving these last couple of games that they're just going to beat you up. I would imagine both teams are probably going with a similar mentality, like, let's not get too crazy here on the defensive end. But I don't know. Both these teams probably want to win it, man. They got this far. They probably want to see it through. But obviously, both teams have bigger goals for this season ahead.
They do.
But
it's interesting. It's a weird dichotomy. I've never been in this spot with Iowa State. Every time I've been down here and Iowa State's won a tournament, it's been like a huge deal. And it would be tonight. Don't get me wrong. I am not diminishing what a championship would mean. I've never come down here, and maybe this means that I just had the wrong mindset. A couple of those Fred teams, maybe you thought they could make a run. But this is the first time I've ever come down here and been like, this team's good enough to like legitimately like make a Final Four. So you have like there's this different, but then like you get here and I was around Houston a little bit after that game last night. I wanted to get the vibe that they had. These guys are, man, both of these teams want this thing. They really, it's actually laughable. It's like we can have those conversations on two guys named Chris and stuff. And then you go into the locker room and like try telling that to Taman Lucy.
Right.
You guys would be better off losing. And he's like, like it's ridiculous. So
yeah, and especially for those seniors, like this is a big deal. Like those guys, I mean, a conference championship. You didn't get the regular season title, obviously, but there's some pride in that, taking that home, right? I go back to I don't want to bring in bad omens to today, but the 2014-15 season, the 2015 Big 12 tournament that Iowa State won, obviously lost to UAB. In the first round. What do you remember about the mentality of the team at that point in the season, Chris?
Run down that.
The 2015 season, the one that Iowa State won,
the UAB team.
The UAB team. What do you remember about the mentality of the team at that point in the season, at this stage?
I think that team. Hey, I'm live. Shannon, say hi to everybody. It's Shannon from KCCI. Say hi to everybody.
Oh, hey, everybody.
Yeah, all right.
What's going on?
I saw you sinking some shots out there.
Dude, I went 3 for 3.
At a girl.
Nice.
Well done.
Scott thought he was better than me.
Well done. Way to prove him wrong. Okay, little cameo from Shannon here.
So Iowa State played Kansas in the championship game in 2015. They won 70-66.
Yeah. So that team, man, the word fractured is strong because I wouldn't say that, but I don't think that Bryce DeJean-Jones is the guy everybody kind of remembers from that group because we had the whole chair incident at halftime with the UAB game. That team, I'll just say this team just feels so much closer than that team was. And I can just tell you about like Otz's program. I think that the Omaha Baloo thing is the perfect example of like how well this culture is in this program where a guy can wait all year like that to just come in the championship game. And I think that's the biggest difference. And it's just a more complete team, right? Like those Fred teams, it's like
they didn't play defense. And correct. That's the difference. They just chucked up shots, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's a bigger difference.
And I'll remember that UAB game. Like, I mean, I remember it like the birth of my first child. Like,
yeah,
it's true.
Well, I would argue too that the defense will carry this team farther than a better
arena
offense.
Too. Like Iowa State played like the first game on Thursday, and everybody there was a Kentucky fan, rooting against Iowa State in Louisville that year, and that those Fred teams, man, when they would start off cold,
Mm-hmm.
you're right, and then they couldn't get a stop. So at least with this team, if you're not making shots, you're going to get some stops and you have a shot.
Well, what's the difference between an elite defense and an elite offense? Offenses can have off nights. Defenses usually don't, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's why Iowa State's been in almost every single game this season.
No, you're right.
They have an elite defense.
Sometimes
they're a hair off on offense, like we saw against Kansas State. They hit 1-3, 7% from the field, and they still won the game comfortably. So, I think this is going to be a 2-3 possession game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means.
I actually think they're going to win, Matt.
Wow.
I think Iowa State's going to win the game.
Okay. I like your mentality. Championship mentality, just like I said.
You can ask all my friends here. The last 2 games, I predicted double-digit wins in both games.
I will say, you have had a tremendous read on this conference, on this team down the stretch here.
Thank you.
You called the Kansas folding it up, mailing it in for the rest of the season. You called the Kansas State game. You said, I have a great feeling this is going to be a double-digit victory, and you were right.
Yeah. And then I even called it last night. I told one of my really close friends, I said I would win by 9, and I was being conservative then. I actually thought it was going to be more. And I don't think this is going to be that. I think Houston's the best team in the country. All I'm saying is I think if these 2 teams had to play on 3 days in a row, Iowa State is in a better physical spot to do that. That's all I'm saying. Is Houston a better team than Iowa State? They've proven throughout the course of the year that they are. Their body of work is better. I'm not denying that. I'm saying on a 3rd day in a row, that gives Iowa State a good shot to compete here when you factor in the crowd. There you go.
So I watched the Houston game yesterday against Tech, and I think they've gotten out to pretty comfortable leads in the 2 games here in Kansas City. Iowa State, I loved what I saw early on yesterday. You going out and hitting your first 3 shots. First 3 threes, right? Wasn't it 3s? Milan Momcilovic has to. I think he's the key again. He has to. He has to be comfortable. He has to be comfortable out there. It's probably. Would you argue this is the biggest game of his career?
No, absolutely it is. I'm not arguing that at all. He's a freshman playing for a Big 12 championship. Hell yeah, it's the biggest game of his career. Completely agree.
Let's see what he's got, man. I think he's got what it takes to have a big game today. I think they're going to need him. It's going to be tough to get points in the paint.
He better be able to stretch the defense, because if not, it's going to be a long day. I completely agree with you, brother.
Get out in transition and get those shots up.
Speaking
we
of get
Houston,
out, I got to get out of here because I got about a 2-mile walk up to the press box.
Let's go.
Matt,
I love the mentality. Let's do it.
You're welcome to just keep potting if you want. It's totally fine.
I'm ready to watch this game too. Let's go.
God, you guys. Now I'm gonna have people saying that I guarantee I'm no. I'm saying I'd rather play them right now than next week when they're fresh.
Vibes are high right now. Let's go.
After it, baby. He's Matty Van Winkle. We'll be here. Here's the deal. We're going to probably be here right after the game. This is a little bit going to depend on if there's the celebration and stuff going on. I don't know if I'm going to go. I might do a little more of a post-game podcast, instead of instant reaction. We will let you know on the Cyclone Fanatic social feeds when that's coming up. I would ask Bloom to join me. Bloom's been drinking for 9 straight days down here. He's a total disaster. I'm just kidding. He's out raising money for We Will. But it'll probably be me and Matty Van Winks back there in Bondurant. We gave Aiden the day off to come down here and enjoy the game with his friends and family. We appreciate all of our great sponsors. We appreciate all of our great listeners. Thank you for tuning in. Thousands of you now tuning into our pregame coverage. It's turning into a thing. I can't wait to build on it for next year. But we still got all sorts of postseason basketball. I got to get up to the hockey press box, and we'll see you guys after the game.